All right, it's 8/29, 2020. Take a quick walk through here and I'll give a little update on what's going on, what things have been going on here through the past few weeks, month and a half. Good things, bad things, indifferent. Got poison ivy, daggone it. Take a quick look through here and see what's going on. One project I worked on the other day, we're having trouble with these kickers. Now, when they get done with the bull rolling logs, debarking them, roll them off on these hourglass roll case, or hourglass roll case, because they're shaped like an hourglass. In the kickers, kicks them over to the skids, heading to the head saw, okay? Underneath here, we've been having lash. These have been bending down. This is some kind of hillbilly made pillow block bearings. I did order some large pillow block bearings the other day off of eBay. They're not, I think they're not, they might be used, they might not be used, but they've been sitting around. So I got them for an economical price. By saying that, I'm talking 450 bucks a piece. That's dirt cheap for a set of 4.5 inch bearings. I believe are 4.5 inch pillow blocks. But I don't think they're gonna be necessary. I wanted to keep them in stock. Already busted that weld loose on that one over there. But I put this rigid bar, it gets lash in it, starts moving up and down. Of course, this thing has been a rigging and a half. It's been put in as a rigging. But we'll reinvestigate that and see where that gets us. But I only found 2 of them and I need 4. So I'll eventually put them in as the problem re-arises. On the log turner, we had one of these trunnion mount cylinders break on us. Had to replace a grease fitting there, and I need to replace the pin here. Our log turner, I have a hunch that our log turner is too light duty for what we're doing. Just a hunch. I'll reinvestigate that, but I'm breaking things on it. We are breaking things on it that I'm thinking shouldn't be getting broke, but it's life. I'm getting ready to investigate this roller. After the logs go through and the boards drop off of this head saw, as they drop down, they hit this roller, which is never right since I've been a kid, young man. And the boards tend to fall down, wane down. Well, the edger man's got to flip them all over. Should have been took care of years ago, but somehow it wasn't. And I'm finally going to address it. When the boards drop, the wane's on the outside, so they got to drop and then sweep out. They drop and they flop over half the time, I think. So, got to work on that some. This belt is a rubber belt, and the boards drop down, hits that belt, and then falls over. That belt on the bottom side's cut, so it's getting ready time to replace the belt. Me and Doug with Dunham Rubbers looking into getting a different material belt. It'll be a little more expensive, but it's out of the same material that bucket elevators. In a bucket elevator, when they're a belt driven bucket elevator, the buckets are bolted to a belt that goes up and around it. And I want to use that same belt. And the thing is it's real rugged style of belt, but it's also not rubberized, so when a wood or something hits it, it's more liable to slide on it than to chalk up like a rubber on a car tire. Carriage oiler. I think I've showed this in a previous video. You know, this is my pet peeve, the oiler on this Carriage. It is getting very good, very livable. But I come up with the idea of getting this brush to brush the oil onto this tire that oils up the track. And Pooh says it's working great. He says he uses about 2/3 of an oil tank a day with that, it's drip oil that we're using on that. He's using about 2/3 of a tank, which is probably a little over a gallon. He's probably using a gallon of oil a day on this Carriage. But it's lubricating all the ways. All the lubricators and stuff are working good. This Carriage is wet. This is a wet Carriage now. And look at that. At the end of the day, track clean as a bean. Only dust on it, it's dust we've knocked off. Mostly I just knocked off just now. So very tickled with this project. Now moving ahead to the Resaw. This is a project. Now this here fence This Resaw has to be tuned in. It has to be lined up really, really straight to do a real good job of sawing boards, because there's a lot of wood goes through this thing. In doing so, you got these adjustment bolts on the back that rocks this fence like this, like this, like this, like this, you know, any which way is done with these adjustment bolts. The problem with the system is when you hammer on them, they come loose. These come loose, start backing off, then your fence gets off. And the way this system works is there's a lineal positioner cylinder right there, and it's got a rod in it. It's counting your distance and everything. It's got a probe in it, and that counts your distance, relays back to your PLC back in the cab where this fence is at. It gives it a count, so it knows where the fence is at. Now, what keeps the fence straight is there's a rack and pinion. Here's the pinion shaft, and it's a solid shaft runs through the pinion gears, 3 pinion gears, and there's 3 gear racks inside here. 1, 2, 3 down there below. And as it moves the fence in and out, the gear rack makes it come in and out even. And that all works pretty good. I don't think we have lash or anything in that. I think that's a very good system, very rock solid system. McDonough Manufacturing did a good job on that part of it, I think. There's a few things I'd change, but they're minute. Of course, there's your oiler cups. We oil them every morning to make sure that gear rack and pinion is well lubricated. It's wet. They roll that fence out there where you see that gear rack. That rack is wet. I don't think there's any new things pop up on the Resaw merry-go-round. The deflectors we've been putting up to cage in these cants, we've been putting these up over the past couple years to cage in these cants. When I was a kid, we used to end up with cants on the floor here. Well, when I was a kid, just a few short years ago, we had cants all over the floor in this Resaw. They get down inside there, they get off the back on the ground, they get cross-eyed on the deck. People would have to come up and straighten up stuff. Eats on production like crazy. And cants would also get behind this cab. See the dents in this catwalk down here? How it's arced? It was a real issue. It was a real screw up on production. So we started adding these deflectors where the cants can't get off. Just simple, brain-dead technology. Probably should have been incorporated years ago, but just wasn't. We got some through here, so your cants, basically your cants can't get out of bounds. There's one here, and this one back here gets heavily used right here. This bad boy right here, look at all the paint knocked off of it. There used to be cants end up on the floor down there. Now, when I walk in here now, there's not a single, I've not seen a cant on the floor for over a year here. And used to, once a day or 2 or 3 times a day, there's a cant on the floor. So that's getting along real good. The barn cleaner is what I've been working on today. We're averaging a breakdown with this barn cleaner about once a week. It's coming off the sprocket. So I extended them teeth, them sprocket teeth. They was 2 inches and I made them 2.5, closer to 3, more like 2 3/4. And it seems to work really well. So it's loose enough, if they have an issue and they have to break the chain, they don't have to adjust the motor. They can just break the chain. There's enough slack they could slide to put the links back together after it's on the sprocket and be just fine. So we think that, I'll get back to y'all on that. I think it's working. It's going to work fine. It hasn't been working perfect, but it takes them, every time this knocks us down, it's about 9 minutes of downtime, sometimes 10 minutes of downtime to get it back on, get it back up and running. And that's happening about once a week on an average. There's weeks that don't happen at all. There's 2 weeks, consecutive weeks, that it might not happen at all, and you get 1 week it happens 3 times in one log, you know. But it averages out about once a week we get 10 minutes of downtime from this. We're hardly getting any downtime from the Resaw anymore, hardly any. And that used to be our downtime king. We had some downtime last week on this double end trim. The issue with it, now the double end trim trims off both ends of the board. This is a Neanderthal kind of setup. It's a Corley, it's the old Corley. It works okay. There's no complaints really. It's not the best, but it works okay. But we got this cage back here, which is rightfully in there. You can see it gets destroyed. But that was in the old days when you run pallet stock through and you get boards in there crossways, you have a bad operator and they could just destroy this thing. So we're going to do away with this cage. We're going to do away with that stuff in the back and make us one good thing. We'll take this out and we'll make us one good thing back there for all that. And then you can have an aisleway for maintenance to come through here and work on this. That's been an issue as of late. But over here is where what feeds this. You got a dealer, what they call a dealer, and that's when your boards come up on a deck and they sit there with them some cogs up waiting for their turn to get on this lug chain. This is called lug chain. See the lugs? The boards go on the lugs and the lugs pull the boards through. Now the reason you have to have lug chain on this double end trim is the saw blade is kicking forward on the, or you know, well, look, it's pulling backwards on the board, and the chain has to hold the boards. The chain has to pull the boards to the saw, and it's pulling the boards against these chains that's hanging down. See them hanging down? So they're rubbing over the board, and the weight of that chain is what's holding them boards straight while these saws are sawing them. That's an old motor that's got to be took out from some kind of cooked up thing years ago. Now underneath this plate looks old because it's part of that old something we took out of an old sawmill. But underneath that plate is a potential, as a proximity switch, and there's a lug that comes around this shaft, and every time the shaft goes around, makes a circulation, it deals another board. It hits that, the piece of metal goes past that proximity switch, and it feeds another board. Well, we didn't have that covered and that was acting up. You get a piece of board end down in there and it would screw that lug up. So we put a plate over it so that quit screwing up, and we shouldn't ever be in that thing again. That should be fixed. But now we gotta get in here. It all looks like crap. We gotta rip all that stuff down and fix it up. Gotta make it better. Now you gotta have something back here, because back here, if something goes wrong, the saws are throwing backwards and they'll throw the boards. Derek said we'd had a board years ago go through the wall over there. So it is a safety issue. So we'll have to have something there. We just don't know what yet. Something, but we don't know what yet. And Mommy and the boys are doing their cleaning. We're recording, Mommy.
We're sweating.
You're sweating? Oh, so let's get over here. Let me show you what. Now, I don't know if the boys that's been working on this project wants me to share or not, but I want to say something. Boys, if you watch this, I'm very proud of you guys. You guys done us a very good job. And Robin and the other boys come in and help pouring the concrete, done a really good job. But Big Daddy's project is done. Well, it's not done. We still got to do the outside. We'll have a catwalk and stuff out there and a retaining wall and stuff. But the erosion has stopped. It's all in here. There is one heck of a chunk of steel in these. This is all very good, very solid, very good chunk of meat in here. There's a heck of a footer underneath all this. Big Daddy's got him a footer that runs in that way. I didn't cover any of this, I don't think. I can't remember what I've covered and what I haven't. I think I've covered some of it. I think I've covered some of this, but I can't recall. But there's some heavy duty footers in there. And then out here, we're going to do a retaining wall. We're going to bore in, we're going to get a post driver, like a cow post driver, and drive down more of them guardrail posts. We got an excess abundance of them, and drive them down, you know, get the ground stripped, get all the crash stripped off, drive the post down. And then once they're down the ground, we're going to build up with that guardrail and make us a retaining wall. Hijackers. So trying to get that dust in the cracks, because we still got to fill them cracks. You know what I'm talking about? You hear me, boy? Did you hear what I said? Hey,
You said crack.
keep the dust out of cracks, boy. Break your mama's back. All right. You get dust in the crack, you break your mama's back, boy. All right. And that looks crappy, but all that stuff's going to be sealed in. We'll have a retaining wall, and this retaining wall out here is going to be a catwalk. And we'll have a catwalk. The catwalk will be concrete, but it'll be down. This you'll see, and we'll chop some of this stuff off, but the concrete will go through here. You know, it'll be beautiful. It'll look great. I mean, it'll be a daggone improvement for. And then we're gonna get people come in, reside this, put guttering up, and then we're probably gonna take these sections here, and they make these roll-up garage doors, them small roll-up doors, and we're probably gonna run a series of roll-up doors down through here. And they'll probably go up a few more feet, but they'll roll up so you can open up this lumber room in the summer. Then in the winter, you can shut your doors down and keep your heat inside, that sort of thing. But in the summer, it really a dead airspace here. It gets real hot without being able to. When we opened this up, it got a lot brighter in this room, and it got a lot nicer work environment. So anyways, that's where we're at on all of that. We got a broken cable on that 12-foot door mat. I need to work on that. The pulley is up, but it has no weight hanging on it. The cable evidently broke. These have been working okay. Oh, the cable never broke. It come undone on the I don't remember. I can't remember what was here. Oh, I can't remember what was here. Oh, I lost my chain of thought. Oh, it had one of them on there. Oh, that bent open. So there ought to be a pulley down here somewhere. There's the weights. I don't see the pulley. So I'll have to work on that. But these have been working really good. Really proud of them. I need to get, especially the ones with these rollers on it. See how hard them rollers been working? Look at all the wear on the side there. I need to put them rollers on the rest of these bunks too. I need to get them on a 12-footer and on the potsy watsy. But these are working good. We got metal in. We're gonna start redesigning this. Werner's down there has a conveyor running underneath their line, and we're gonna run a conveyor like theirs where it goes underneath the line, and when it gets through these two posts down here, conveyor run underneath the line for the board ends. When you chop off your board ends to make your upgrades, there's no board ends here. Yeah, right here, these board ends and stuff, we come up under the line, dump right here, and then head up and dump into this conveyor. Now also, we're gonna have a conveyor built that comes out of this rip saw and ramps up and throws the boards back on the chain. So we got to do that too. So we kind of got a lot going on here. But I'll get back to you on that, you know. But I'd say that's coming up pretty daggone quick. Working on this project pretty quick. In the other room over here, the air compressor room, the problems we've had with the dryer, I think, is doing really good. I put this aftermarket style water separator on here and filter. Let me see what this looks like, shall we? Hang on, let me stick y'all up here. It's got a little bit of that residue in there from the dryer dust. I think the filter's doing okay. Now what would happen before, the way this system operates, the air comes through these dryer stacks and then it picks it up from these hoses, and them hoses runs the pilot system that does all the valve flipping and stuff to make it purge, to make it switch towers. So some towers are purging, some towers are being charged. It also purges the water separator coming into these. It's got a lot of valves and stuff to run. This is the pilot system. without the pilot system having air, it can't run. Well, here's the thing. Hang on, let me check this out real quick. Oh yeah, real good. But without this pilot system having the proper air to operate, then the whole system went down. We didn't catch it. It went on way too long. And we finally made ourselves a mess. We have had a mess. This has been a battle we went through quite a bit of here as of late. And I don't think we're using the proper desiccant in this Graham White that we're supposed to be using. They said it's clay, but it don't look like the clay pellets it was in it. It had a different style before, and now you're getting this residue down here on this white residue that we never got before. And I don't know, I question it quite a bit. We'll suffer through this. Now we deal with a company by the name of hang on, I'll give you the company we deal with. It's a good company, Resaw. Very good company. We deal with Resaw on these air compressors. Very good company. We're very happy with them. But they are not a Graham White dealer. A Graham White is the gray thing, the dryer back there. That's what. So they don't service that. And I don't think they're up on the Graham White dryers very good, because I think the desiccant they sold us for this wasn't the right desiccant. Now another company out of Evansville by the name of Everpar, they're another good air company. We don't deal with them much, but I think they're a dealer for these Graham White. So I think I'm gonna call them. We'll get us a year on this desiccant and we'll suffer through this, but I think next time I'm gonna call Everpar and get the proper stuff, the proper desiccant that goes in that thing that don't give us that residue down there. Look at the residue, look at the white residue's been splatting off back there. I mean, we've been getting, it's decomposition. I think the system ain't made for the desiccant that's in it. Now over here in the pallet, I think things are going okay in the pallet. The Ultimizer is behaving itself. It needs a belt on the other side. I'll put on Monday on the Ultimizer itself. They're having an issue with the start on this thing from time to time, and I think it's a short wire on the stop switches. The way the stop switches are designed, they're normally closed, and then when you push the stop button in, it breaks the circuit. So when you start the motor, get the motor going, it stays engaged. The starter stays engaged because it's making a loop on the pilot side, on your 120 side. When you stop a machine, you push the red button, you're breaking that circuit. And then the starter's got, you know, it's spring applied, or spring release. It's powered applied, spring release, you know. So when you break the circuit on them, the starter disengages, and that's what shuts your motor off. So for your motor to run and stay running on a 3-phase, you have to, your stop buttons and stuff have to be, and I'm sure that it's not making a loop, is what I'm trying to say in a nutshell, in my hillbilly way of talking. Okay, the Ultimizer has been doing real well. We're real happy with it, but I do need to get this belt changed on this, because we're starting to get chunks in there, and from time to time he's gotten to stop because there's a chunk gets down in there. So when you get this baby changed Monday, well, me and Stevie will get that changed Monday. And other than that, things are really looking up and up down here. The men's doing real good. We're real happy with our people. The Nissan needs brakes. The Nissan fork truck, I think it's still got its brake issue. We need, I think it needs a master cylinder. But I think everything else is doing good. Our air's good. Our electricity, we got a little issue with the electricity, but that's an issue we're gonna have till we put in a $200,000 service. And that we are dragging our feet on majorly. I'm convinced there's an old industrial company out there that's got excess supplies from a factory shutting down or something. Somebody pulled their service out. And I don't know how many amps we need. I'd have to get back with everybody on that. But if anybody has a lead on an industrial company that has large services, used services for sale, we'd definitely be in for one. I'm thinking it needs to be about $50,000 to get us engaged, and they're telling us it's 200, and I'm thinking, no, we are a Sawmill, that's not happening. 50,000's the upper end. I'd rather do it for 30, 35, but in my head, I could see 50. So that's where we're at. Now, if the price was ever to come back up and we was ever to crank this thing up and we really got things rolling, things are rolling good, if that scenario would happen, what we would have to do is we would have to have that service in out there. And then we could run, this room would run probably, depending on what species we was bringing in, this room would run probably 35-hour weeks. And the Sawmill run 40, something like that. You know, depending on how good or bad the, which we, you know, it just depends on our wood. But we'd have to hire a bunch of people back. We're running kind of a skeleton crew, we have for years. Because we're basically running enough crew to keep up with what we can buy timber-wise, harvest and log. We don't buy any gate logs. If we bought gate logs, we could probably do it, but the profit is not in the industry. The profit is not in the industry to do that. It's a shame. Our industry has a black eye because everybody that listens to the fake news and all that crap and all the stuff that they read and see on the silly stuff out there, that they're afraid to harvest trees, they're afraid to manage the forest. Well, if you don't manage your forest, it turns into California where you're burning down fires and stuff all the time. So managing your forest, if you want to live in a safe community, has to be done. This here, what we get out of this is a byproduct of managing your forest. And guess what? You get to build things out of it. That's the mentality the whole world needs, and they just don't have it. It's just, it drives me up the wall. But it's nothing I can change. I'm just one guy. But one of these days, somebody will, just like they're doing on the political side, they'll finally start researching on the internet, and everybody will start figuring statistics out, and they'll start realizing, hey, it's our responsibility to manage this forest. We have to take care of this forest. So, in taking care of this forest, we're going to end up with an abundant supply of wood. What are we going to do with it? Well, let's start building things out of it, what do you say? Talk about going green. That's everything you're looking at out in that log yard is a renewable resource. I mean, we're all proud of hydropower and solar power. Well, why not build with wood, dummy? You know, I don't get it. I don't get it. I think we're destroying, you know, we just got a black eye in this industry, and I ain't gonna spend much time crying about it, but I get the feeling that's why a lot of the uphill battles happens, is because of the attitude towards our industry. Nobody realizes you have to manage the forest or it burns down. That's Mother Nature's way of managing it, it's with fire, you know. And I mean, everybody whines about the wildlife. If you cut a tree down that happens to be a den tree or something, and wildlife gets relocated, and a couple of them gets killed in the tree felling process, you know, well, what's that compared to a wildfire? I mean, animals die like crazy in a wildfire. But no, that's not man-made, that's nature. So who knows? People are silly. All right, well, that's my little spiel. Why ain't you working helping your family?
Everything that I'm doing, Jackson's crying about wanting to do it, so I let him do it.
And that's your goal, and that's your focus, on a career? If they want about it, let them do all the work? Huh?
Well, I mean, he won't stop balling, so.
We'll find another spot and work. Can't keep a good man down, boy. You want to do the work, do the work. There ain't no excuses. Boy.
You need help?
Boy, I done did my work while you sitting on your duff. My work is complete. I gotta go do YouTube work. All right, everybody have a good one. You know the drill. Later on.